Hi, we're going to take a quick look at the new Ipevo V4K document cameras. And I can't show this piece live because I'm actually currently using my document camera. So we're going to look at the documentation. So our cameras have three parts. You've got your camera, you've got your multi-jointed stand that you can rotate your camera around and bend in many different ways to get all kinds of different angles. And then you have the weighted base that keeps it nice and stable for you. And that's really all there is to the camera. On the camera itself, there's just a handful of buttons, as well as the lens and the microphone. So you have a focus button. You've got an autofocus switch, which you can set back and forth between single or continuous if you're recording something that moves. You've got an exposure toggle to try and get your color and your lighting correct. There's a little LED indicator that shows if you're using the camera. And then on the other side, next to the lens, there is a teeny tiny dot that is your microphone. So this camera can be used to capture sound as well as images. Okay. So if I want to use this camera to record myself for a Google Meet or for my webcam in Stringcastify, and I'm kind of doing both at the moment, there's nothing special I have to do. Once this is plugged in, it is my one and only camera on my device, and it should open as default. You just give it permission. If I want to use the webcam software, I'm going to come down to my window. I'm going to look for Ipevo. And the software is called Visualizer. Okay. And here on my software, I have lots of different things that I can do for my camera. Alrighty, I've switched over and played with my camera a little bit. And as you can see, I've got it aimed at my desktop. I've got the camera in a place that makes sense for me where I can see it. I've got my hand and my pen here where it makes sense for me to see them. But what I've got here is it's turned upside down. So one of the cool things about our software here for Visualizer is I can get in here and change that angle to whatever I want. So I can rotate that so it's exactly the angle that I want. I can resize. I can mirror if I want to, vertically or horizontally. And then I have a reset button if I want to as well. So I can just mirror, and then it's somewhat right side up, or I could actually tweak that angle a little bit and get it completely straight if I wanted to on my screen, even though it's at an angle so that it's a comfortable writing place for me on my desk. So that's probably the main piece here in the tool set that you will use. There are some other things. You have a zoom function, so you can zoom in and out on your document. You can play with resolution and ratios. You can experiment with the exposure, how light and dark. You can adjust your white balance, so kind of the yellow versus blue in there. You can play with how far or how near the focus is in case you're wanting to show a 3D object on your document camera. And there are also some filters here. Probably not going to want to mess a whole lot with those for any purpose other than fun, but you do have a black and white option if you needed it. You've got a sepia option if you wanted to make something look old-timey. And then there are some other things that are probably more fun than they are useful for our purposes. But they are there if you can think of a reason that either for fun or for educational purposes you would want to use those. Down here at the bottom, you can freeze your live image. You can show grid lines. It's not as visible here. Let me switch back to normal. There we go. The inverted black and white shows those grid lines better against my cream colored paper. But you can show grid lines, and if you click it, it'll add more and more of those until you get teeny tiny, and then they go away. And you can also mess with your focus in there too. Right here, you have your annotation tools. If you click your pen, you have some different colors, some different sizes. You also have your eraser. So I could get in here and write with my screen as well as with my actual pen. And that is, in a nutshell, the Ipevo camera, the V4K, and the visualizer software. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. I'm happy to help if you have any questions. Thanks.